Get ready to hear from one of the most accomplished voices in real estate investing and entrepreneurship. At just 3 years old, Otis D. James III was attending real estate investment meetings with his father, unknowingly beginning a journey that would span decades across entrepreneurship, real estate, finance, leadership, and business development. Today, he is a full-time real estate investor, licensed real estate broker, seven-time published author, entrepreneur, educator, and founder of the 4 Data Points Academy and Venture U International Business
So
Retreats.
impressive.
Over the course of his career, he has overseen more than 650 million in multifamily commercial real estate assets, consulted on development projects throughout the United States
True.
and abroad,
True.
and funded more than 1 billion in real estate transactions as a mortgage broker.
Also true.
He has owned and operated businesses in multiple industries,
Yes.
built a seven-figure company starting with only $585,
True.
and dedicated his career to helping others create wealth, build businesses, and achieve financial independence.
Also true.
His students, clients, and audience know him best for one thing above all else:
What's that?
his ability to take complex concepts and transform them into practical strategies that everyday people can understand and apply.
This guy's brilliant.
Whether you're joining from across the country, around the world, or sitting in the audience today, you're about to hear from someone who doesn't just teach entrepreneurship and investing,
What?
he lives it.
No.
Investor,
No.
entrepreneur,
No.
author,
What?
founder.
Say it.
Please welcome Otis D. James III.
I'm sorry, it tickles me every single time, man. It's corny, but it does tickle me every single time. And I'm gonna play it every time I jump on here too. I can't put my music on in the background because there's some copyright stuff that'll go on, and I don't want that to impact my ability to come on here and reach folks. But the topic is hold yourself accountable. And most people have a hard time doing that. Now, there's things that we can teach in the world of entrepreneurship, and there's things that we can teach in real estate investing, and there's things we can teach about navigating the corporate environment. I'm really big on maximizing opportunity when you have a traditional job, regardless of what that is. And one of the things that people struggle with is holding themselves accountable. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, which I think everyone should be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be primarily an entrepreneur, but I think everyone should have a revenue stream or a means to generate income outside of your 9 to 5 job. Because if you only rely on one source, when that source gets cut off, what are you going to do? And I'm not about giving somebody that much control over my life. Now, again, I I love my corporate job. I had fun. I worked with some great people. I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and what I learned in the corporate environment allowed me to really scale the other businesses that I've done. Because entrepreneurship, you develop resilience and the grit and the grind, and you go through all the adversity, and you develop into a business person, man or woman, and you sharpen your business acumen and all of the things. So when you go into the corporate environment after being an entrepreneur, you're dragging people through the mud because you're at a different level. You're completely like their concept of what a tough day is just a Tuesday for you. And on the flip side of that, when you're in a corporate environment and you're relying on systems and processes to achieve an outcome and best practices and standard operating procedures, when you take that into the corporate or the entrepreneurial environment, then it helps you scale. It helps you actually turn that idea into an actual business that can scale over time. You can create jobs and you can do all the cool things. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about general entrepreneurship and real estate investing. Those are my two favorite things in the world. I've been exposed to real estate my entire life, ever since 3 years old, going to real estate meetings with my father. It is just something that is so deeply embedded into my psyche. I think it's part of my identity, it's part of who I am. And entrepreneurship is actually where I made my first $1 million outside of real estate investing. So We're going to go over a lot of those things, and I'm going to give you something that you can actually take away, something you can use. One of the things, and I'll be transparent. Actually, you know what? Let me do this because get some room over here. Bear with me for a second. On shout out if anybody went to the we had a training yesterday, was it yesterday, on land trusts. So anybody that went to that, thank you for joining. And I sent out the recording this morning. So if you need it, check your inbox. All right. So I'm going to, oh, let me share this. I'm sorry. People don't even know I'm on here. Hold on. And thank you guys for liking and sharing and all of the stuff. It doesn't go unnoticed. I think at the end of this one, I will look at who performed the most and who showed the most support. Not monetarily. I don't not really big on the gifts and all that stuff, but I missed it. I will watch the recording. Thanks. Yeah. I'm not really big on all the gifts and stuff, but sharing and liking and that stuff that's support too. So I'll look and see who the top person was, and then I'll reach out to you, and then I'll give you your choice of what book you want me to send you. We have 4 real estate books published, 3 entrepreneurial books. The real estate book is the Real Estate Investors Field Manual that teaches all of the real estate investing strategies. We have a residential edition. We have a multifamily commercial edition. We have a teen edition, which is a little bit high level for teens. And then we have a book called No Shortcuts that is teaching you how to manage income producing property. It's from over 2 decades in the multifamily commercial industry. On the entrepreneurship side, we have a book called No Guardrails, which is the 8 areas every business owner must master. And we also use the same framework for our international business retreats. We have another book called Starting from Zero, which I've actually not only did I write it, but I read it twice. I'm always looking to see if things need to be rewritten, if the ideas came across clearly, and I didn't touch a single thing on it after. It was like it was. I was really really proud of it, the way it came out. That is the experience of me losing everything. What would I do? What thought process would I have? And what would I put together when I have little to no resources to build a business back up? So that is starting from zero. And then there's a book. The last one is called One Decision from Glory. And I'll let you guys look into that one to see what that one is about. But it is business acumen, and but it is scripture based. And 2 of those books we have Spanish versions. So the Real Estate Investors Field Manual Residential Edition we have in Spanish, and No Shortcuts we have in Spanish. So I'll look and see who's doing what, and then I may reach out to you and send you to Amazon, tell you to pick a book. Don't pay for it. I'll go ahead and I'll take care of it, and then I'll get your mailing address and send it out to you. But we live in an environment where you got to speak to people with kid gloves, and I am not going to do that this morning. Damn, man, I need money. I need money every day, like every 5 and 10 minutes. welcome, welcome. I would sell a product or provide a service if I lost everything, or get a job doing the same. Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. You gotta first, before you do anything, you gotta hold yourself accountable. When I lost everything, I was blaming everything but me, and I lost everything in real estate. And this was 2 decades ago, right? But I lost everything in real estate, and I was blaming the market. The mortgage industry fell through, the real estate market tanked. I had all my eggs in that one basket. My income came from real estate. My portfolio was a real estate portfolio. So when the bottom fell out, yeah, I had nothing. I had to go back and work at a newspaper plant for a couple dollars an hour, which was very beneficial for me as a person, but it didn't feel good at the time. But what I noticed was when I got into real estate in 2002, I got into multifamily commercial in 2001, licensed in real estate in 2002. A lot of things were just given to me. My father's really big in real estate, and we went into business together, 2003, and he had a large client base, so he would just give me clients, and so I didn't really have to work for anything, and there was zero adversity in that process. So when the bottom fell out, the real estate professionals that were gritting and grinding and going door to door and doing all those things to get business before it got really good, they were actually able to survive. And me, I didn't have any resilience. I never knocked on a single door. I didn't have to do anything to get clients. And then I lost everything because I didn't have to go through that adversity and I didn't get developed. So that was the reason why I lost everything. Now, the real estate market tanking may have been a catalyst and contributed to that, but ultimately I wasn't prepared for the storm. I was just, waiting, waiting on dad to send me some more clients, right? Somebody said, "Oh wow, you had a dad? That's crazy." Yeah, still do. Yeah, we still work together and occasionally we'll team up and do a deal together. So first of all, you gotta you have an understanding of where you're at. So if you're in corporate and you're working a job, why are you not getting promoted? That's the first thing. And if you are in a corporate environment, then maybe I shouldn't frame it that way. No, I'm gonna go ahead and frame it that way. If you are in the corporate environment and you're not happy there, what are you doing to change it? So that's your fault. If you are the type of person that makes excuses about why you are where you are, that's still your fault. If you are the type of person that goes to work and complains, that is your fault. All right. You signed the offer letter, you went to them, they didn't come to you. If you are the type of person that says, this manager doesn't like me and that manager doesn't like me, that is your fault. All right. Now, I'm not saying there aren't legitimate gripes, but at the end of the day, you have full control over your destiny. You can control what you can control and you can shape your perspective to accept the things you can't control. But ultimately, you got to hold yourself accountable because if you don't, you're not going to be able to level up to the next version of yourself that's required for the bigger stuff. Right. Like I couldn't manage all of these things that I'm managing right now 15, 20 years ago. Mentally, I wasn't ready. I didn't have the emotional capacity. I didn't have the resilience. So all of those things were, you know, important in testing me and, creating this person. So I always ask people, and I do these consults. You guys know I do consults. I charge $500 an hour. People keep paying it. Half of these consults could have just been questions that they asked me on TikTok, but people want to keep paying it. Let me see. Membership to the inner circle of the executive team is by innovation only. Okay. I don't really know what that means, but so I do these consults and I'm talking to people and I'm talking through their problems, and they're typically entrepreneurship consults or real estate investing consults if they're not in our mentorship program. And the thing about these consults is I don't sell people anything on these consults. They call me for expertise. So the hour is to get them through whatever it is that they're struggling with business wise or whatever it is. And I'll listen to you for 45 minutes and we'll have 15 minutes left to go and actually work on the problem. And what I used to do is I used to keep getting people focused and I used to have to keep bringing people back to the conversation and say, hey, look, we only have an hour. Let's go ahead and focus. We've got this issue so we can resolve it. And I stopped doing that for this reason. Sometimes the lesson doesn't hit until it hits your pocketbook. Sometimes you don't learn until it hits you financially. Sometimes you don't learn until it costs you something. See, if somebody called me for a consult and they wanted to complain about their situation and blame everybody about their situation and, just be upset and vent, I am more than happy to listen. But at $500 an hour, now, this last consult I had one yesterday morning and it went on for 60 minutes. 46 minutes was the person talking about how it wasn't their fault, how they had bad partnerships, about things that were done to them, about how it's not fair and they shouldn't have to conform to this and that and all of these things. And I just sat there just like this. Mm, yeah, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, that doesn't seem fair at all. Yeah. So I'm nodding and I'm looking at the clock. It was 13 until the hour. And they finished. And I said, okay, let me know. Are you ready to move on? They said, yeah, I'm ready to move forward. Let's go. I said, well, we only have 13 minutes left. And this is probably going to be a much longer conversation. So I'll give you the Cliff Note version because we're about to be out of time. Sometimes that's the lesson that they need to understand what it looks like to prioritize what's important and not let the things and all the noise around you deter you from your objective. And some people complain about that, but I tell them, I start every consult the same way. I say, we got 60 minutes. We can spend time working on the actual problem, or we can spend the time talking about how we feel about the problem. I prefer we work on the problem, but either way, the 60 minutes is up when it's up. And it is what it is. Mhm. So, this is the first thing. One, people are not accountable for their own situations, period. That is the first step. If you can't do that, you're going to have a really tough time being an entrepreneur. You're going to have a really tough time being a real estate investor. You're going to have a really tough time competing in the market with other serious entrepreneurs. Mm. The second thing is, what are you doing about it? See, that's the thing a lot of people don't talk about. What are you doing about it? Okay, the situation is what it is. What are you doing about it? Hold on, let me. I forgot to share this to some folks. Let me. This, I don't know why they changed this. TikTok studio it seems like every 3 weeks. All right. So what are you doing about? Let me see if I can multitask, which I can't. So as we're about to see me trying to do two things at once. All right, bear with me. What's up, folks? I see some familiar faces down there. I need my music in the background. Let me see if I can work something out. All right. Okay. I think that's cool. I think that'll work. All right, what are you doing about it? For example, if you've got money problems, there's no job that is beneath you. I had one of my students, which is really, really, and I'm not minimizing a person's situation. I'm not, I'm not making fun or talking down but there's lessons here that people need to understand. And in the world of real estate investing, if you are not a seasoned real estate investor yet, you probably can't function in any market condition. See, if I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you where I live, if you're going to get a 4 bedroom, 2 bath house that was built within the last 50 years, you're paying $2 million. Period. You can come with $1 million in a briefcase and still have to go to the bank and get a loan. You may be able to get a condo for that, but you're not. So I had to learn to go to other markets. I had to learn to invest from across the country. I had to learn to go into a city that I've never been before, build a team, and go ahead and meet an objective with respect to real estate investing. A lot of people cannot do that. And I don't just flip homes. I don't just do long term holds. I don't just invest in apartment buildings. Sometimes I invest in debt. Sometimes I put deals together and write myself into them. Sometimes I put deals together for other people and just take an acquisition fee. There's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate. If you don't know that yet, then you can only do what you can do. You can only do what you know, right? This particular person was going through a financial situation. They're in our program. They're going through a financial situation and they were looking at these $1 million deals. And if and this person rarely comes to class, right? Rarely see him in class. They don't really have an understanding of the 4 data points because they won't show up long enough to actually learn it. And they're sending me deals that are valued in the millions of dollars. Now, I also teach people how to structure deals creatively. I teach people how to pay for deals out of their exit strategy, but I manage expectations because in order for that to happen, there's some things that have to be in alignment. This person has not grasped that concept. So they keep sending me these $1 million deals. And finally, I had to say, hey, look, if you don't have at least 5% of what you're trying to do, then you're not going to be able to do it. Okay. And my advice to this person was, you need to go get a job. Right. And this person said, well, I don't want to get a job because, and then they gave me, some other reasons. And I don't know whether it's this generation. I don't know whether it's, Western culture. It could be a combination of all of these things. But no job is beneath you if you have no money, right? You got to have something to build on, right? There's people that want to get into real estate investing that will sit here and listen to me. And I'm not turning anybody away. I appreciate the folks listening. But at some point, I got to be honest with folks and say, hey, look, you're listening to me for 3 hours. In 3 hours, I could start a whole nother business. And if you have no money and you're listening to me for 3 hours, and you're not asking any questions and you don't see a problem with that, that is the reason why you are still where you're at. Because I don't shut these lives down until I answer all the questions, right? There's people that and so on these workshops, we have a workshop coming up this weekend, right? We do one every month, and I'm going to continue doing monthly workshops. I used to do these workshops for free, right? And what happened was we would have, I had one workshop and we do they're virtual, and there was 540 people that registered, right? And, we go ahead and teach people how to assess a real estate deal at these workshops. We teach them how to manage a rehab. We teach them how to structure a deal creatively. So, where you pay for it out of your exit strategy. And then I usually give an example of how to structure a deal creatively with a 10-unit apartment building. Okay. That's the workshop. Now, listen to what I just said and how valuable that information is. I teach you how to assess a real estate deal. I teach you how to manage a rehab, typical rehab. I teach you how to structure a deal creatively so you don't need a down payment and you can pay for it out of your exit strategy. And then I show you what that looks like when you apply it to an apartment building. And then after we do that, I manage expectations and let people know all of the things that have to be in alignment in order for that to actually work. Because just because something is possible does not mean it's likely. You have to make the determination as to how likely it is for you. That is the workshop. Okay. Now, there are people that barked at the price. See, I started charging because you have 540 people that aren't going to do anything and they're looking for free stuff. And I get it. That's okay. I get it. There's nothing wrong with those people. I'm not putting it on them. All right. But for me, the time and the engaging, it cost me something to do that. So I said, all right, 49 bucks, and then we'll take the 49 bucks and we'll give it away to help people pay their utility bills. All right. So I don't keep any of that. I just give it away to help people pay their, power bill and past due bills and stuff like that. All right. It dropped from 540 on average now. And I know part of it's my fault because I don't really promote it like that. It dropped to about 50 on average, 50. And I was doing myself a favor. It's like, okay, well, these people are serious. But I was more concerned about all of the people that didn't come because of the $49. You mean and folks, I've been broke. I've been on food stamps. I've lost everything. I was, making a few hundred grand a year in real estate in my early years, and then went to work for $10 an hour at a newspaper plant. You mean to tell me in the United States of America, say what you will, the easiest place to make money in the entire world, you can't come up with 49 bucks? If you can't come up with 49 bucks, I don't even want you thinking about real estate investing. I love the, support the lives and do all that stuff, but I got to be honest with you. You shouldn't be thinking about real estate investing because you are in triage mode. You need to be worried about changing your personal situation before you start talking about entrepreneurship and start talking about real estate investing and stop attending these, business credit and business funding rooms. You have no money. No job is beneath you. People do not want to hear that. They do not want to hear that. You are less likable when you start talking that way. All right. I guarantee you, just give it a second. I know we're just getting started. We only got about 20 something people in here, but there's people gonna leave. All right? Now, I would never tell somebody to do something that I didn't do myself. So, 2002, I got licensed in real estate. All the way up to 2005, money was just falling on my lap. 2006, it was just we were peaked out. I had multiple houses, cars, and everything was great. 2007, just before 2007 hit, I saw the writing on the wall. I said, "This bubble is going to burst." But I was already so over leveraged, and there was nothing I was going to be able to do. I was not going to be able to exit quick enough. So I saw it coming a year before it happened. And when it hit, when I say lost everything, I'm talking about lost everything. Like all of the things were now gone. I was watching this HGTV. There's this couple that was flipping homes, this husband and wife flipping homes on HGTV. And in the beginning, it does an intro and they say, we started, we went through the whole real estate debacle and, we lost everything. And then we decided to start flipping homes. I said, well, then you didn't lose everything. How'd you have gas to get to the house to flip? Because my car got repossessed. How did you have the seed money to start flipping? How did you learn how to flip? Who taught you? What seminar did you go to? When I say I had nothing, I had zero. This is where people have always thought I was way richer than I actually am. And this is how that got started. I lost everything to the point where I could not afford storage. So the houses that I had that were furnished, I would give all of that stuff. This is nice stuff too. This wasn't no IKEA. I would give it away to families that needed it, and I would just because I couldn't keep it. I couldn't keep it anywhere. Now, of course, I could have. I'm not the type of person that's going to go to my parents and say, "Hey, can you help me here? Can you help me there?" Like if they find out, my dad will be like, "Oh no, man, come over here. Let me give you something to And but I'm not that guy. It's like whatever. Just like I've got friends that are valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I've never asked them for anything, right? And they've offered. I've had friends that just say, if I go through a tough situation, they'll say, "Man, how much? Oh, the check. I'll write you a check. Just give me a number." I always say no because this is my journey to go through, and I got to overcome this. And if I let you bail me out, then I'm going to lose the education involved in this thing that's going to turn me into the next version of myself that can navigate this easily next time, right? So all of the things were lost, and I was sitting at my parents' house. I was, my they had a room for me, but I wouldn't take it. I said, "No, I'm gonna stay on this couch because I don't want to be comfortable here." I knew that. I knew comfort is a silent killer, right? And then I said, "You know what? I got to give God something to bless." Let me see. Let me go work for the sake of working, right? Let me just work for the sake of working, folks. I was making $10 an hour in the Bay Area, by the way, not $10 an hour in Mississippi somewhere. In the Bay Area, making $10 an hour, and I was working 10 hours a night until I figured it out or got the next idea. All right. Now I knew I wasn't going to work it. And for those that don't know, this story is in my books. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you've heard this already. I used to we My job was to put the coupons in the newspapers. So for you young folks, there was a time where a newspaper is where they put the current events in a reading material and they bring it to your house and you go out in the morning and there it is and there's coupons in there in the Sunday paper, right? It wasn't online, it wasn't doing all that, right? So I did that, and I did that for 2 months because I knew that I could either stay at home and just sulk and wait, or I can put action to something. See, the problem is Western culture is so I need it right now ish that people don't want to put in the work. They just want the outcome. All right. A lot of people in jest, they'll say things like, "Man, if I could be you for a day," the average person couldn't be me for a day. They would freaking fold. They would fold. The type of pressure that I deal with on a daily basis, not only do I buy problems for a living, but I mentor 384 people directly and deal with their problems with them. But it wasn't always like that. I had to build up to that. I had to get resilient to be able to do that. Now, if you are working a job, then why are you not getting promoted? There should be an answer. If the answer is I don't know, then why don't you find out? Some people are retired. I get that. Now, if you're retired and you've got the time, we live in an age right now. We have technology available that is free. You can learn anything that you want to learn. Right? As long as you can, I study my own craft over and over and over and over. I'm always looking for that next thing that I don't know. All right. If I see somebody that's performing at a particular level, I will look at what they're doing. I will reverse engineer it, and then I'll see what I can apply to my situation to be able to do the same thing to surpass that person. So, what are you doing? What do you want to learn? Do you even know what you want to learn? Because people follow me for a reason. I'm not doing the sexy rooms. I'm not doing the should men pay go 50-50 on the first date rooms. I'm not doing the should broke people date rooms. I'm not doing all that nonsense. So if you're following me for a reason. What I would do if I was following somebody and I was investing time into their lives, I want some information before or while they're talking. I would be writing down questions. Okay. I know my situation. You got to take an inventory of your situation. What is your situation? Okay. I have no money. My credit sucks and I have no job. Don't be ashamed of it. That's where you're at, right? You can't hide from it. Okay. Hey, Otis, what would you do if, and then put that situation? I mean, you could DM me afterwards, but it's going to cost you something after this. That's why I come on here. All right. Or, okay, let me see. I'm at a job. How can I turn this into a business? Right. I work in HR. I've been in HR for 20 years. I want to go out on my own, maybe start a consulting firm or something. How would I go about doing that? I teach you guys that all the time. Look, all the things that I've taught 8 areas every business owner must master. I've taught just about every real estate investing strategy on this TikTok live that you possibly can. Mm, all of them. Like, I don't keep any of that information. Folks, we don't sell information, we sell support. We give you the information so you have a frame of reference and that you can refer back to it, but we sell real world support. So if you're going to change your situation, you got to be accountable. First, you got to acknowledge where you're at. Second, you got to determine where you want to be. Those are 2 points in time, where you're at and where you want to be. There are a lot of questions in there, right? Hey, this is where I'm at. What's my next step? Hey, Otis, if you were me and you were in this scenario right here, what would you do? But people don't. And I've heard the sound of my voice. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not as soothing as I would like to think. And I understand some people are at work and some people want to be inspired. And some people, I get that. All right, what's up, Yvette? I get that. But the truth is, you have to do something. No one is going to save you. So what are you going to do? I know how people get caught up in the likes and all the this and that. Unless you are right where you want to be. If you are right where you want to be and you just want to come hang out, let me know. I'll bring you up on stage. We could shoot the you know what. But we've got 37 people in here. I'm going to say half of the people are at work, so they can't engage. I'll give you guys a pass. I'll say maybe another 4 or 5 of you may be driving. So I'll give you a pass. Matter of fact, go ahead and come up on stage. Go ahead and request to come up on stage. And I'll let me do this multi-guest. I'll wait until we get 8 people. It's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly. This is what I okay. All right, Ryan D. Okay, I got you. Stand by. I need 6 more people. All right. Do you know I pay to go places so I can ask questions? Do you know I pay for personal development? All right, coach, I got you. We need 5 more people. All right, Yvette. All right, I'm wait for 4 more people. 4 more people. I invest into this thing. I invest in it a lot, even when I didn't have it. I was going to seminars. I was going to workshops. I was going to when I'd come up on somebody that was, kind of really performing at a high level, I would ask them questions. When I was in corporate, we were really my team was really high performing. Every team that I was on, just about, was high performing. So we would be in front of the C suite, the CFO, COO, CEO, and we would go out to these dinners and I would ask questions, right? And there was this gentleman by the name of, now keep in mind, I was at this job. I was coming back up from a fall from grace. So I was very low on the totem pole when I got into the multifamily commercial industry, very low on the totem pole. But in life, my station in life had been a lot higher than that. At one point, I was making more than most of our C. I wasn't making more than the CFO, but I had made more than the COO and the CFO at the company. So the lenses I saw the world through was different. It was a lot further along than the typical person that was in my position when I was coming up the ranks. So I would ask questions and I would kind of take what I wanted and leave what I didn't. Let me get 4 more people up here, and I'm going to I'll open up the stage. All right. And one of the questions I asked was from a gentleman by the name of John Shishel. All right, John Shishel, there's a multifamily commercial company called BRE. They were absorbed by another company called Essex Property Trust. and John Shishel was the CFO at BRE, and he was the one that was responsible for raising the capital. And we did a project that was a $330 million project. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, how do you ask somebody?" Because he'd go to the shareholders and I go, "How do you ask somebody for $330 million?" Like I wouldn't want. It's hard for me to ask somebody for $20. How do you ask somebody for $330 million? He goes, "The same way you ask somebody for $20, you just change the number." Do you know I took that and ran with it? Ran with it, just that one conversation. Mm. But what if I didn't say, and by the way, I was able to, I was able to earn based off that thought process. But I asked the question. Now, if I hadn't asked the question, the future money that I earned from my perspective being shaped would not have been earned. Hold on, someone start letting people up. But people never ask the question. And because you don't ask the question, you got to pay. Not me, just life. You got to pay life. Call the poor people's tax. Poor people's tax will get you. Look, I had to pay it. I pay the poor people's tax. I'm very familiar with the poor people's tax. It shows up in interest you have to pay. It shows up in what, NSF fees. You ever get your check? Like, you live in check to check, you get your check and you go to the ATM, like, oh, the direct deposit hit. And then you get mad at the bank because they took all they took all what they were owed plus all the fees. And you want to argue, but you can't because because you know what it is. What's going on with this camera? Focus on me, baby. Focus on me. Right? Poor people's tax. And I had a poor attitude for a long time. When I lost everything, I had a I had a I had a poor attitude. The only thing that saved me from that poor attitude impacting everything I did was my ego. Now, it sounds bad, but my ego was the only thing that saved me because I knew what I had come from. I'm going back into the corporate environment and I'm gonna let these folks in the corporate environment drag me through the mud. In an for apples situation, I'm going to be outperformed by these folks. And then nah, that's not happening. So I would do what I was going to win. I was not going to be outperformed. But I had the wrong attitude. We were doing a what's up, certified? What's up, Ryan? What's up, Yvette? What's up, D? What's up, coach?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
wanted to tell you, Otis, man, I done got like what, five new followers with your name and page. I said my boy is moving up.
Yeah. Hey, look, I had a few of them follow me. I was like, okay, I'm all right. The
They
sk-
start, oh man.
yeah, man. I
Good
would
morning, Otis.
Ryan, what's
I
up,
missed
man?
I missed your phone call yesterday. I had a lot going on. Please call me later this evening or later this afternoon whenever you have time. Would love to talk with you. Just didn't have time yesterday,
Amen. Will do.
and I hate declining phone calls. But it was actually my doctor's office calling me, so I had to
Nice.
answer that.
It's all good. It's all
Life
good.
is life.
Life is life. But
But yeah, in the next couple of days, if you want to give me a call, I'll 100% pick up the phone call to talk to you.
I will do that, sir. I will do that. And so it was, I was at the company would do these, I don't know, like rallies, right? Company meetings, company wide meetings. And this one particular company, this is the first time. So all these companies in the multifamily commercial industry, everybody just used to say the same thing. We want to be number one in customer service, and we want to be number one in this, number one in that. And I was with this one company. This company on the West Coast was the number one company for shareholder returns. Okay, and they were a REIT, right? I'm not going to say the name, but it rhymes with Essex Trust. And so the top guy, not the CEO, but the number two guy, was up there talking. And this is the first. This is one of the first talks that kind of sparked my interest, right? Because you had they were announcing where they ranked, and they were like, we're number one in shareholder return. Everybody started clapping and cheering. and all of these things, everybody started clapping and cheering and all these things. And I'm looking around like, y'all ain't got no stock. What are you clapping about? Y'all have no stock in this company. All right. What are you clapping about? And it was just that the attitude, what I should have been thinking about was how can I become a shareholder? But I'd already lost everything. So I was mad that I was, internally I had this chip on my shoulder. And I was mad because I was, making 15, $20 an hour after making, three, $400,000 a year. And that wasn't even as a real investor yet. And it was a lot of these events over time. And finally, you start to shape your perspective and start seeing what the world is really about. And going through enough of those events was, I think that's what it took to kind of change the way I see the world. So I decided to become a shareholder. Let me see. If you could focus on one for the next 90 days, systems, leads, or client delivery, which and why? I would focus on sales and marketing. Sales and marketing drives business. I like that question, actually. Let me shift real quick. I like that question. First of all, before I go on, is there anybody on stage that has a question or a comment or a scenario that they want to work through? And if you don't, that's fine. You're more than welcome just to hang out, chill out, cool out.
Hey, Otis.
Hey.
So I was wondering, at what point did you realize you were building like more than a service, like you were building an asset? And what did you change about your decisions, your systems after you realized that? Because I feel like, kind of where I'm at, it's kind of bigger than just a service. It's an asset. It's something that could be, taught to others. It can transform its in many different ways, kind of like what you have.
So for me, I didn't plan on building this thing at all. So it was always my next move was always a response to something else. And let me give you an example. Um, I was, I got invited to speak at a lot of real estate conferences and real estate events. And during the kind of the small talk, out before I go on or after I come off stage or whatever, I would hear people's stories, and there was just so many people getting scammed, and sometimes it was their fault, sometimes it wasn't. I really didn't ever get into all that, but the reason a lot of people were getting scammed is because when presented with a real estate opportunity, you don't know what to look for. So you're taking somebody's word that the opportunity is going to pay off. And in the world of real estate investing, you could have a good opportunity that starts off as a good opportunity, but there's things beyond your control. And if you don't know how to read those things, you're going to blame the wrong person. So I created this guide called the 4 Data Points Guide. And the 4 Data Points Guide is 4 questions, the only 4 questions that I care about when evaluating a real estate deal. Right? What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? And you'll notice the logo, our name is the 4 Data Points Academy, and the logo has the 4 on it. So I did that as a response to help people. I didn't even plan on any of this, but the demand, and I created it didn't even start its lead generation. I just created the document so I could just give it out to the whole crowd and I don't have to physically send everybody the link and all that. It was a QR code and that was a website I could send them to and they could just download it for themselves. And 6,000 people downloaded that document. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So there's a demand for this stuff. So then I felt an obligation because I have a corporate training background. I was training, managers to manage developments valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, two, three, $400 million developments. So I said, okay, well, then I felt an obligation to organize the information in a way that it was easily received. So I actually had the curriculum before 4 Data Points Academy was born. And then I couldn't reach everybody, right? So I said, okay, well, I'll charge people, I'll mentor people, but I'll just do a small group at a time. And it was always more people trying to get into the group. So I said, okay, this is a company, right? So in starting the company, internally, the first conversation, because the goal was to bring it to the average person. And the first conversation was, how little can we charge without me negatively impacting my quality of life? I was already doing well, and I don't want to have to depend on a single dollar from this because I didn't want I wanted to keep it like about transparency, honesty, and integrity, and I didn't want to have to sell somebody something. And if I'm depending on this income, you know, I may have, I don't want that. See, I wanted to keep them separate. I wanted people to know what I did, and they would come to me, right, because of who I am, what I know, what I've accomplished, the way that I teach, and all those things. And I didn't want the pressure of having to sell, right? That's not my thing. So we leveled up multiple times during the process. Now we're going to be the largest real estate training platform in the country. I'm already past that. I'm trying to do that same thing for entrepreneurship. So it was always a response to something that happened. And and I don't use my business as an example because businesses have a responsibility to generate revenue, especially if they have employees. The business has to generate revenue, or there is no business and there are no jobs for people, right? So my business is, if you ask any business consultant, I shouldn't be in business anymore. And the first 6 months, I've got a lot of business consultant friends. They said, you're going to be bankrupt. There's no way you can allocate time and resources in perpetuity, no end date, mentor people for as long as they need it, and not charge them again. There's no way that you can do that. But now we're on year 6, and we've been doing that same thing. So my situation is probably not the best example because all of the things up to a certain point were a response to something else that was important to me. I don't like seeing people get ripped off. I don't like seeing people, especially, I've got people in our program that are 70 years old. Like if and over half the people in our program came from other programs. So I said, I'm the last stop. I'm going to be the end all be all for real estate investing. I am the last stop. There is no after me. And that was, and so I was really on my craft and I made certain claims. One of the claims I made was, if I can't answer it, I will hire somebody, an attorney in that field, create a lesson and teach it to you. So for me, it was, I'm setting the bar high. And, but so it was always a response to something. One of the things I was always, see, if I was, oh, all right. So you guys hear the intro where it says I took $585 and went on to create a company to generate 7 figures. I utilized what we call the outsourcing business model because I already had the relationships. And anytime I got an order, I just hired the people that were already doing it to fill the order. I marked up the price. I took 40%. I worked on that company maybe 3 hours a month. That company generated 7 figures. I quit that company because I don't want to do this. I just didn't want to do it anymore. Right. So and that was before 4 Data Points Academy. So I was already doing well before that. I didn't need any money from 4 Data Points Academy. Shoot, it was when we started, I told everybody in our first 60 days, I said, I know where I'm going. It's going to be, it's not always going to be like that. It was $1,500 to join our mentorship for life when we started. That means everybody that joined in the beginning, I said, you guys are rocking with me. No matter how big we get, no matter what the cost is, you guys will have access to everything for life. People should have been beating the door down. I had all the credentials. I was teaching every 5 days a week. There was no question I couldn't answer. So people already knew they were learning things. A lot of the people that joined our program were already investing based on what they learned from, the lives and the clubhouse and all that other stuff. So there was no, you just got to do it for the sake of doing it, right? You got to keep the commitment to yourself. If you believe in what it is that you're doing, lean into it. Because the thing about entrepreneurship, there is no outside validation. There's nobody saying that, oh, you know what? Just give it the old college try. Yeah,
Oh, you know
you'll be
what?
fine.
Just give it
You'll be good.
the old college try.
So you know, so coach, let me ask you this. Is there a particular problem or scenario that you're trying to overcome? What's your reasoning for asking that question? Coach D?
Yeah. Sometimes I think I have a visionary mindset. So sometimes I invest my time in building things and I feel like I'm too early.
Hmm.
I see it, I see the value, but you your experience highlighted something like there was a demand. So I'm creating before there's a demand, so it's like, where do I focus my energy and time? But I'm systematic. I see the process. I see it all the way through. I can see certain things, but there's not a demand. So I work with people and so that's where I'm like, I feel like it's more of it is an asset in different ways for different people and but I got to narrow down my ideal market. So that my next question was like the difference between making money and building wealth in the industry. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one thing to make money, but looking back, what was the difference for you when it came to making money versus building wealth in your industry?
So the difference for me is I think I can. And as silly as that sounds, if I get an idea, and it wasn't always that way. I think, let me call, hold on, let me call Dr. A. It's the psychological aspect of it. When I say things like, we're going to be the largest real estate investing training platform in the country, I already believe that to be true. Hold on. I've already created that reality, right? So it's already established. Now I'm playing catch up. And in my approach, I'm not operating as if I hope. I'm operating as if it's a certainty and I just need to navigate my way there. So it's the mental component of that, which a lot of people don't have. I also understand the framework of building an actual business. And, I look at Fortune 500 companies, I look at small businesses, I look at the businesses that I've created. And I also am a nerd about knowledge consumption. Right. One of the blessings about mentoring so many people that have so many problems, because we buy problems for a living, is I get better every time that I help somebody through something. If I don't know an answer off the top of my head, I got to go get the answer. So I'm evolving far quicker than anybody else in my position. Right. So let me ask you this. Can I ask you a couple questions, Coach?
Yeah.
Who would you say your ideal customer is?
My ideal customer is a person that is tired of starting over. They're tired of, knowing how, no, doing everything right, but not getting the results and still ending up in the same spot. They're they're tired of spending their money on supplements and health and wellness things and not getting sustainable outcomes.
Okay. So, what urgent problem are you solving?
The urgent problem that I'm solving, I would say, is understanding is everything. So understanding what the connection between your lifestyle, your stress patterns, and your gut health, and why you keep sabotaging. Understanding the why and decoding your own body wisdom. People don't wake up and say, I need to decode my body wisdom, but they say, I'm tired. I'm tired of being tired. I'm exhausted. I'm bloated. I have no energy. I keep trying to do this thing, but I, keep going back to, old habits.
Okay.
So understanding and rewiring that process so that you can actually have more sustainable results.
Okay. What are you selling in 30 seconds or less? What are you selling exactly?
I am selling a transformation program that helps you to understand your patterns and to customize your own way of to customize your I've said this so many times I'm falling apart. Hold on.
No, you're good.
So
It's good.
thank you. I've actually written it down. Hold on, because you talk about investing. I've invested in Dr. Forbes Riley's course
30 seconds or
on
less.
pitching.
What are you
Oh,
selling?
I'm sorry. Listen, he's like, get to the point. I'm sorry.
No, but this is a
So
good exercise. So go ahead, keep going.
no, I appreciate the stretch.
Okay.
I appreciate the stretch.
Okay. Now that
So
notebook, let me ask you do one thing. Close that notebook.
okay, listen.
Close that notebook.
You hear me?
Yes, I hear you. What are you selling? Okay. So I'm gonna pause. We're gonna table that question.
Okay.
Okay. Now, why would somebody choose you over somebody else?
Okay. Because as a woman who has personally struggled with starting over
Mm-hmm.
and being frustrated, doing all the work, having all the knowledge, and doing all the things that I know how to do and not getting the results, I finally created a program that allows people to answer those questions, create a system that actually incorporates their lifestyle,
Okay.
their habits, and reshapes and reforms their habits in a way that they can have changes that are sustainable.
Okay. So we would refine that explanation. I'm gonna ask you another question.
Yes.
How do you turn people that are interested into paying customers? How do you turn interest into paying customers? So if I said, you know what, I'm interested, how quickly could you get me to the checkout? Well, I'm interested. I got my credit card right here. I'm interested. How quickly can I get to the checkout from this conversation right here? Where do I go to pay? I want to buy it. Where do I go?
You go right to the link on my page and
Which page?
in my bio
Okay. All right.
that allows you to sign up for the process. That is where actually I'm reformatting. I am transitioning more to a master class and then in that space because my strength is relationship building
Yeah.
and so I'm a great educator, great teacher, but this right here is where I'm investing to learn this skill,
So,
how to translate, how to quickly convert into buyers.
okay. And I'm gonna ask you another question. So, what is your step-by-step sales flow? Meaning, let's say you do a TikTok live. What's your call
hmm
to action, and what happens after that? So, let me give you an example just to help you illustrate that. This title says "Hold Yourself Accountable." That is going to get some people's attention. Okay. I say text 702-710-8030. If they've never sent me a text message before and they text that number, they're going to get an auto reply. That auto reply is basically going to say, hey, thank you for texting. What can I get you? Was it one of the lessons Otis was talking about? One. Was it you wanted information on our mentorship program? Two. Did you want information about our international business retreat this November in Medellin, Colombia? Three. Did you want information about our AscendU program? It's going to give you 5 options, and then the 6th option says other. Whatever number you select, another automation is going to kick in until we can get you what you asked for. And if it falls out for any reason, you put the wrong numbers or you give me a different response, I will get a text message saying that so and so did X, Y, and Z. Someone needs to reach out to her. And then my assistant, Daniela, will likely reach out to you and say, hey, saw you in our, answering some of the questions. Just want to make sure we can get you what you need. All of that can take place while I am here talking to you all. All right. So there's a step-by-step sales flow when I'm on TikTok. There's a step-by-step sales flow if I'm doing an in-person event. I'll put the QR code up there. So if you guys are interested in real estate investing, click the QR code. There is a whole system behind that. If I say, everybody right now, text this number, text the word workshop, and I will send you the link to register for this weekend's workshop, real estate investing workshop, where I teach you all of those things. Oh, and by the way, that's true. So if you guys text the word workshop to that, I'll send you the link to register. At the workshop, I teach them something that is far more valuable than when it costs them to be there. See, I under promise, over deliver, right? And at the workshop, I let them know exactly what 4 Data Points Academy can do for them, and they decide whether that's something that they want to move forward with. Now, that's a sales process, and it's a repeatable sales process, right? So basically, I just walked you through, and coach, you're where a lot of people are. So there's the good thing is you came up, you asked the question, and you're like, that tells me, that makes me say, okay, I want to invest time in this person and educate this person because you're the type of person that I want to see do well. But we're not taught this stuff. I wasn't taught this stuff. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm gonna write a book on entrepreneurship and the 8 areas business owners must master. It cost me $2 million to get all these lessons, right? So now I have the framework. So it's not that you're doing something wrong. Based on the information you have, I think you've gotten quite far based on what you told me, right?
Yeah.
So now you said that the link is in your bio, all right? Now, how do you create awareness to attract ideal clients? Like, so first, I'm gonna break that down into 2 questions for you. Where does your
Okay.
ideal customer spend time? And if you don't know, it's just say, I don't know.
Yeah. I think online,
Okay.
I'm trying to transfer what happens with me. I can build a relationship if I'm one-on-one. I don't know how to do the one-to-many.
Got it. Okay.
So the one-to-many is where I get stuck. I was going live. I've taken a break off of TikTok live to revamp my process because it wasn't converting. I'm spending time and energy pouring out and building community, but that whole TikTok idea of community, that's not what business owners who have products and services really need.
Right.
We don't need to have people sitting in our panels and talking and things that are not converting into customers, right?
Yes.
When you have a product and you have sales. So I just took a pause. I'm investing in learning these things because if we're together, I'm at a coffee shop, I'm converting. I closed 2 deals this week with customers who paid, high for my premium programs because I was in front of them.
Okay.
One-on-one. So then it's translating that to like you said, a repeatable process of I don't have those systems. Then you invest in the wrong systems that don't convert, that don't do the things. I've invested in coaching programs. I've invested in different things. And honestly, this last investment with this pitch from Forbes Riley was like, okay, I have to do this. Like I'm putting in the work, I'm investing the money, and I'm going to learn this skill that is preventing me from having, I don't have the systems. And then the pitch, the transition from, oh my gosh, Coach D, wow, I had people, every day coming into my life for a year, but they weren't my customers yet. But they just love my presence and being in my space, and that's great.
Yeah.
But so that's where I want to be like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I do have a business. I'm not on here, to give out free therapy, so to speak, and teach. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just trying to learn that gap. There's a gap in my knowledge. I feel like I'm solid in other areas, which I'm still open to learning, but that's my gap. What you're talking about is my gap.
Okay. So this is what so I'm going to go through these eight areas for you. And by the way, I'm just reading off of our brochure. That's it. I'm just reading off our brochure. So I'm going to go through them. The one that I wrote, right? And this is one of the ones that I give away for people that are looking to get into the world of entrepreneurship, because a lot of people have great products, but they don't implement the framework. This is also the same framework that we walk you through at our international business retreats. And I want people to come to the retreat knowing what they're going to get. So we teach this stuff before, and then we do it for them at the retreat. Now, first of all, analytics. I'm really big. We make data-driven decisions. The best use of my time, if I am solely trying to get new customers, is not on TikTok. It is not. It is actually Facebook. and YouTube and Instagram. TikTok may be somewhere at the top 5, but after the top 3, I stopped looking. Right? It is not. I come on TikTok and put all these hours on TikTok because it is of value to me to be able to change the perspective. Now, I get clients off TikTok too, right? It is of value to me to change the perspective of people that aren't there yet. So that is a big deal to me, right? So analytics, we need to look at the data to see exactly what we should be doing. The first 2 questions I asked you were to help you determine whether or not this is a business you should be in the first place, because one of the things I wrote down that you said was there's no demand. No demand. I know it's backwards. No demand.
No,
So
I think.
and I know that that doesn't actually mean that there's no demand.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. I know what you mean by that. I'm just writing down what you said.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so the
I
first
was thinking about some of the products that I've created. I'm big on creation. Sometimes you're smarter than, like I can create things all day and spend hours on creating things, and I'm like, wait, do I actually need this?
Yeah.
I have a certification program because I visualize my brand being a coaching. Like I'm going to teach other coaches my methodology, and they're going to be able to transform and help other people.
Yeah.
So I'm working on my my syllabus for institution class that doesn't even exist yet, right? That's what I
Yes.
mean.
Yes. Hold on one second. Hey, Orlando, I'm gonna bring Dr. A up real quick. I'm gonna bring you right back after Orlando. So give me 1 second, and let me bring Dr. A up here. Now, and first of all, thank you for being a good sport, because what you are going through is extremely fixable, like extremely fixable, because it's just a framework. It's a formula. And it's a lot of us are, in the beginning, we can make money doing a thing, but then it's not scalable. One of the things you said was, hey, Alfred, can you request to come up? I can't find you in the thing here. So if you can request to come up. Oh, there he is. So what you're doing is extremely fixable. The issue is we just don't have the framework. It is literally like a formula, and it's one that it took me a very long time to learn. And I learned it. I didn't just come up with it on my own. In the corporate environment, there are companies that have mastered these systems and processes. So I'm going to send this to you. So make sure you reach out to me, Coach. And I'll send this to you so you can work through it yourself. But the first thing is always market understanding and offer creation. When I asked you what you were selling, you see how you went into the story, right? So if you can't articulate it to where it's 100% clear, then potential customers aren't going to be able to understand it and understand the value component. Amen.
Yeah.
So and the good thing is you can get this stuff, right? You can get this stuff. Now, what state do you live in?
Florida.
Are you coming to our retreat?
I don't know about it yet.
It's
I
in
haven't.
Medellin, Colombia, and you're closer to Colombia right now than you are to me.
That's awesome. You look, I'll be there. I'm from Panama, so
Oh,
I
that's
can
what's up.
get there.
Okay. Yeah.
Right there. So yeah, I'll be in Panama. But when is it?
It's in
I gotta get
November.
information. November?
Yeah. Text me. Just text that number. Anybody interested, text the word retreat.
Okay.
I'll get you all the information. So everybody flies
That's
in on
awesome.
the 3rd. Those that are staying at the private villa, we'll go ahead and get them situated. Those staying at the hotel, somebody will be there to make sure you all get situated. We get to work on the 4th through the 8th. Everybody's staying at the villa. I've got a private chef that's going to be taking care of dinner. All the lunch is included at everybody at the hotel. And we go to
That's
work, and then
awesome.
we have a really good time after we get to work. We knock off at about 3 every day, and we hang out and do all types of cool stuff. And then we fly out on the 9th. So if you want the brochure, go ahead and text retreat, and I'll get it to everybody. And Dr. Race, he's going to be speaking there too. But at this we break it down and actually we build this for you with you and for you. The VIPs, we're going to do it for you, but everybody else, we do it with you, right? Like you're going to be able to say exactly what you're selling. For example, somebody says, Otis, what are you selling? Long-term professional mentorship in the area of real estate investing and entrepreneurship. Okay, cool. Why would somebody choose you over somebody else? We are the only real estate investing training platform that does not have an end date and does not require you to keep paying in perpetuity. And we let you determine how long you need us. That's why somebody would choose me over somebody else. Okay, well, how do you turn interest into paying customers? I teach them first, provide a call to action, and I have a system or a process that'll take them all the way to the checkout if they're interested in moving forward. Well, what's your step-by-step sales flow? Well, I got a step-by-step sales flow for TikTok, a step-by-step sales flow for Instagram, a step-by-step sales flow for in-person events, a step-by-step sales flow for email marketing, all tying to getting somebody the value that they need. All right. Well, where did your ideal customer spend time? Online. Most of my customers are on Facebook and Instagram. Some of my customers are on YouTube. Some of my customers are on TikTok. And I have a system for all of those paths. All right. How do I consistently reach them? Well, I get online. I do about 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week, sometimes, depending on my schedule. And I create awareness around what it is that we do. We don't do paid ads yet. We will do paid ads eventually, but we don't do paid ads. And a lot of our promotion comes from people that are already in our program that are telling other people about our program. And people find value in me teaching the stuff before asking them to pay for it. All right. How do you consistently reach them? Again, I'm doing lives all the time, right? 10 to 20 hours. All right. Well, what tasks can be systematized or delegated? Well, correspondence, right? I have systems and automations that are corresponding with people while I'm here talking to you. Well, how would you track your key performance numbers? Well, based on our analytics, every 10 hours that I spend on live, I can get 50 people to come to a workshop. Of those 50 people, 33 will show up. Of those 33 that show up, only 20 can afford my services. Of the 20 that can afford my services, 15 of them are too afraid to make a decision. Out of the remaining 5, 2 of them are married and need to talk to their spouse, and the other 3 will typically sign up for our mentorship program, 2 at a $6,000 price point, 1 at a $13,000 price point. That's $25,000. So my key performance indicators are I have to spend 10 hours a week to make $25,000. The reason why that's important, because it gives me some predictability. So if I need to make $100,000, guess how many hours I got to spend on live? 40 hours a week, which I'm not going to do, right? But I need to know those things to create some predictability in my business, all right? Now, there's some other things in there that have to do with financial clarity, which, we teach, and team and leadership, and mindset and personal growth, which is the most important part of this, in my opinion. Of everything, mindset and personal growth is the most important part. But do you see how I had to account for those things? And if I couldn't figure it out, that was the time to figure it out. So by the way, I asked you some questions, and based off what you explained, I knew you didn't have the answers to those questions. So thank you for being a good sport. And because I wanted to be able to go over some of these things, not just with you, but to other people that are listening. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But all that stuff is fixable. You're right. Well, look, everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. There's no coincidence that you came up on this live, and there's no coincidence that we had this conversation. So just stay optimistic. Just stay in the fight is what I say. Stay in the fight.
Stay in the fight.
Yeah. Dr. A, tell everybody who you are, sir.
What's going on, family? My name is Dr. A. I work with Otis as personal development director at 4 Data Points Academy. My background is my PhD is in leadership and management, but my focus is on the leader, on human behavior in the leader. And I have a Master's of Divinity in theology because I spent 30 plus years as a senior pastor and sat on a board for the last maybe 8 or 10 of them of 3,000 churches and ministries. So I was dealing with pastors and leaders and business leaders because we had some people that had businesses. They weren't necessarily pastors, but they were believers. So I spent a lot of time dealing with them, and not only teaching and training, but listening and hearing. And I went through my own journey in crisis, which birthed my book, The Self-Image Method, which is the internal way to rebuild the picture you have of yourself. And as we now know, we can never outperform the picture we have of ourselves. We can't outperform our self-image, but we can upgrade it. We'll always lift up and into the picture we have of ourselves, and that's not the picture you see in the mirror. It is largely unconscious. It is how you see that picture in the mirror. That's why people can look in the mirror and see different things looking back at them, depending on how they see that picture. Some people look at that picture. I knew a person one time that she could not look into the mirror. I was with her. She could not look into the mirror. She's a beautiful young woman, but she could never look into the mirror because when she looked in there, she thought she was ugly. Clearly, somebody had told her that. Even though her outside face was beautiful, her inside image had grabbed that she was not. And so that's where I work. I work at that level because what we're talking about here is our income, and when we change then we change our income, and we can't change our income till we change the image. But when we change the image, we're on the way.
Look, man.
So that's me in a nutshell.
Can you
And I
talk?
love helping people grow and watch them become the potential that they should be.
Alfred, can you talk about the self-image,
Uh-huh.
self-image mastery that
Uh-huh.
we're going to do next week? I already have people registered. I actually have to get with you today to go over
Okay.
the onboarding stuff. But can you talk? I'm
Oh,
screaming from
sure.
the mountaintops that people need. The reason why I'm so big on this is because it's self-image, in my personal opinion. Well, I can only speak for my life, is the driving force determining how successful I'm going to be. You guys heard me mention
Absolutely.
something previously. I said the reason why I can execute is because I already believe that I can do it. So there's no
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. There's no all of that. It just doesn't. It's been there before, and now it's
hmm
not. And my opinion of myself when I look in the mirror spills into everything. My ability to negotiate, my ability to walk into a room and start networking, my ability to stand up in a room full of 500 people and say, "Hey, I am completely lost. I don't know if anybody else is, but if you could just redirect me to the right." I don't care about any of those things because I've resolved a lot of those issues that kept me from engaging before. And self-image is not
Yeah.
about I have poor self-esteem, so I need to fix it. It is not that at
Mm-mm.
all. And I don't want people to think that.
It is not. It is not.
It
Uh-uh.
is refining your self-image to become a better version of yourself, right? Like I'm a pretty strong guy, right?
hmm
I'm a pretty strong guy. I can bench 225 15 times. But if I want to
Yeah.
bench 315, I'm gonna have to go in there and work. It doesn't mean I'm weak. It means that I want to optimize my strength, whether that's intellectual strength by studying, whether it's physical strength by
Uh-huh.
working out, whether it's emotional strength by counseling or whatever it is. So, because I'll talk for 5 hours about it. So, Dr. A, can you talk about what that program looks like?
That's cool.
And I'm going to give people, if you guys are interested in that, we're only taking a small group. I've expanded it a little bit. Text the word self-image to that phone number above my head. So, Dr. A, can you tell them what that week looks like?
Sure. A quick definition of what self-image is. Self-image is the internal picture that you carry of yourself, and it quietly controls everything you do. Self-image is the root of personal development. They're different. Self-image is a science. And we recognize now that how I act out of how I see myself. And until that picture changes, then I can only act up and into that. So what we do in that program is we first of all give you a self-image diagnostic, which is free. Anybody can go to my website, selfimagedoctor.com, and take a diagnostic. It's a self-image diagnostic, not a personality test, not a gifting. It measures, gives you a good picture of your self-image in 7 areas. And then on the screen, what you're going to see is the results of that, kind of see the areas that you are. And I've also added a button now where you can download it and save it. Because when you get that, it's going to give you any kind of next steps you want. If you want to do something one-on-one, if you want to do something just on your own, here's some options. If you want to do something group, there's AscendU, which we're going to be starting. I think, is it next week?
Next week, yeah.
Yeah. AscendU, or you can, of course, work with me one-on-one. But that's what self-image science is about. And really what we're doing in self-image is we're not creating another self-image. The best way I can picture this is what happened when the story behind what happened when we saw the David. My wife and I went to Europe for a while. We took a vacation in Europe, and we had seen art for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I love art like the next guy, but after 2 or 3 weeks of it, I had enough. I mean, it can't get any more beautiful. It can't get any more. I'm ready to move. We go to one place called Accademia del Galleria. That was the last. I don't know if I said that right. Academia del Galleria. Anyway, it was the last one we had went to for that day. And as I turned the corner, there was a statue called the David. Some of you may have heard of it, but it's 13 and a half feet, and it's made by Michelangelo, and it's sculpted to show King David, or the shepherd boy David, seconds before he is to use his sling to kill Goliath. And so the picture of him is he's not in repose. He's getting prepared to act. He's getting prepared to move. And when I saw it, I blew my mind. And it blew my mind because of the story behind it. The story behind it is this. There was a piece of marble that a lot of the sculptors had overlooked because they were being paid to create a piece. And that day they would pay artists to create certain pieces. So they had this big block of marble. Everybody passed it by. Michelangelo looked at that marble and started to work on it. It had imperfections. It had all kind of stuff. He made out of that imperfect marble an incredible statue. And when they asked him what he did, this is what we do in self-image. He said, I did not create David. All I did was remove everything around him that wasn't him. And then David emerged.
Mm.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
I didn't David. I went there to remove everything. We deal with your self-image. A lot of stuff has gotten into us, usually when we're younger. Usually when we are haven't had a chance to do anything with it, or to fight it, or even to receive it, just becomes a part of who we are. And it's when we're young. And those things can attach onto us like that marble, like that excess marble onto David. All we're doing is
Oh, I think he cut out. Dr. Alpha, can you hear us? Man, did he cut out for y'all? Put a 1 in the chat if he cut out.
I,
Okay. All right. Dr. A, you cut out. You may have to go out and come back in for whatever reason. If you can hear me, go out and come back in. And while he's doing that, I don't know if he can hear me, but oh yeah, he's on sale. So you gotta go and get on Wi-Fi. So
all right.
okay. Oh, okay. He's gonna come back in. So one of the illustrations that I have with respect to self-image was I was in the multifamily commercial industry. And folks, I didn't go to college. Now I've always been, I went to junior college, and I always joke, you guys hear me say I need like 6 credits to graduate. And I went back to college in my 30s just because it was always bugging me. I'm like, well, did I not go because I wasn't smart enough to go? So I ended up going back to junior college, and I was, good grades and all of that, honor roll and all that stuff, right? And then, it didn't make sense for me to stay in college because I already started building back up I was making money. So it didn't really make sense. And in the multifamily commercial industry, I would, Dr. A, go ahead and request to come back up. I was I was a manager, but I was the liaison because I was filling in for my boss. And I was a liaison between the operations team and the ownership group. Now, the ownership group, they are part of the largest hedge fund, the 5th largest hedge fund in the world. When you look around this table, it was one Harvard grad, Stanford grad. And these are older white guys. Chicago, University of Illinois. One of them worked at the White House. Another one was some high-powered attorney. Another one was this like hotshot real estate a broker, and then there was Otis with still needs 6 credits to graduate junior college. So the imposter syndrome was, I was like kind of kicking in, right? Like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything because I don't want to say something stupid. And then they're like, oh, see, he don't belong here, right? Now, this is all stuff going on in my head. And this is me. And I'd already done well in the past, right? I hadn't made my first million yet. And so I wasn't able, I contributed, but there was always something holding me back from giving my full contribution to the conversation because I was like, I don't want to get exposed that I'm not smart enough to be here. Right. So, that went on for a little while. And then I started, building some things up outside of work and, kind of coming back, right? Like recovering and, building my portfolio and then there was a day where I was there for 5 years. So there was a point where my accountant was texting me back and forth. And he was saying, congratulations. And he's like, hey man, you made your first $1 million. How does it feel? I was like, it doesn't feel like nothing. I don't feel anything, right? I didn't even know. Right. But something clicked in my mind. The day that thing clicked, and Dr. A, mentioned make sure you request to come back up if you can. The day that thing clicked is when everything changed. Because now I said, oh, I not only do I belong here, but I'm outgrossing everybody at this table. Then my contributions started to change. I started to approach every conversation with intention. And that ownership group had reached out to my boss and complimented me on my contributions to the entire process. Right. And all of that stuff, I was the same person. I didn't acquire any new knowledge. It was just, I believed that I belonged there. And that limiting belief was slowing down my contribution. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring Dr. A up here. All right. How do y'all request to come up? Let me see. I think there's a
Person button at the bottom beside the microphone.
okay. So Dr. A, there should be a little person button at the bottom by the microphone. I know you can
Looks
hear her.
like two people.
I don't know why I just had to repeat it. He can hear her. Like she didn't speak English. I had to translate. All right. Normally I could just go to manage guests and click invite and find him. But let me see. Oh, there he is. So there we go. Invite. All right. So just imagine if that limiting belief wasn't there, right? And how much I could have accomplished before that. I could have gotten so much further, but it was something that was made up in my psyche that was governing my actions and made me reluctant to give 100% of who I am because I didn't believe that 100% should be there in the first place. So when we start talking about, self-image, all of us are dealing with something, right? And when we get over that thing, then we're dealing with something else. And I made the decision this past weekend that everybody that signs up for real estate investing mentorship, I'm going to pay for them. It's going to be up to them, but I'm going to pay for them to go through that week of the self-image mastery. Right. Now we also have, personal development, leadership, and leadership and science of sales. But the self-image mastery is the thing that is going to change everything. Now, if you guys are interested in that, Dr. A, you should be able to come back up because I invited you. Not seeing your request. Okay. All right. All right. We're gonna get him. And that's how important I feel about it because it's going to make you a better investor. And it goes so much further than that. Yes, it'll make you a better real estate investor. Yes, it'll make you a better entrepreneur, but it'll make you a better father. It'll make you a better mother. It'll make you a better significant other. It doesn't make you a better human being. And what people don't realize is you hear things like we should be living life to the fullest. Yeah, I get it. Right. We only have so many minutes left. And sometimes the thing that's keeping us from living life to the fullest is the lenses we see the world through. And some of those lenses need to be cleaned. I know mine have over and over and over because perspective contributes to our quality of life. We still coaching Dr. Ada to come on up. That's right. He gonna get it. So I'm really, really big on that. And me and Dr. Ray, we were having a conversation early on, and let me try. I'm gonna invite him again. And he made a comment that said, oh, you care about the whole person, and that stuck with me because I do care about the whole person. And I know that we started out, teaching real estate investing, and I couldn't in good conscience. You don't hear me say things like real estate investing is going to give you the life you want. No, it'll just give you some more money. Right. And I never tried to approach it that way to sell to people because I was investing in real estate and I was freaking miserable. I almost blew my own brains out at one point. And I was very well, I was doing well. Right. So it's like this, I get it, and people are excited about real estate investing, but I'm like, I don't want to appear to the world like I'm not excited about it. It's who I am. I've been exposed to it my entire life. But I also can't say like it's the greatest thing in the world. Like it's going to change everything because you may just be miserable. Right. So I thought, well, people are going to be passionate about other things too. Like there's other things that I want to do outside of real estate investing. I love entrepreneurship. It has a special place in my heart, helping people become entrepreneurs, making that first $1 million as an entrepreneur, building something that you created from an idea. There's something about that that is almost addictive. And to teach other people how to do that so they can feed their families and do all the things they want to do to improve the remaining minutes they have left, like that's important to me. But everybody knows me for real estate. So what do I look like getting into entrepreneurship? See, that was a limiting belief. That was a limiting belief. And then I had to go back and take inventory. Otis, you've been an entrepreneur. You had a national notary signing agent company over 2 decades ago that cost you a couple dollars to start. You took $585, created a business that generated 7 figures, and you spent 3 hours a month on it at most. And here you are not going to my first million networking events because you don't believe you belong there because you didn't go through the trials and tribulations that everybody else did. So what? It was just stupid now that I think about it. It was stupid. And other people are going through that too. So I want to teach people how to be entrepreneurs. But I like to travel too, and I don't want to create another job for myself. I don't want to do, seminars on how to be an entrepreneur. Why? It'd be effective and it would give people tremendous value, but it would bore me. So I said, you know what? The One of the few times where the stress was lifted, just the stress of entrepreneurship, the stress of everything was when I got off the plane into another country, experienced other cultures, realized that other people are doing a lot better than we give them credit for. And I find peace when I go to Colombia. I found peace when I went to Africa. I find peace when I go to Dominican Republic. I said, I want to go to Colombia, and then I want people to fly to Colombia so they can experience that, and we'll help them build their business there. International Business Retreat. First one sold out. Second one sold out. We're going bigger on this one. This will sell out. And I was able to accomplish that because there was no limiting belief telling me that I couldn't. And being able to accomplish one thing after the next and confidence is building. Now, any idea that I get, I execute. And if somebody else has an idea, I get them familiar enough with the idea and the framework so that they feel like they've already been there before and they execute. All of that stuff has to do with self image. All that stuff has to do with self image. Oh, there we go. There we go. Dr. A got it. Hold on, let me bring it back up here. And I want that for you guys. I really do want that for you guys. Doctor, are you back?
Yes, and it's still on my desktop. Oh, I did my Wi-Fi calling on my phone, but I'm gonna work on this desktop thing because I've been on the desktop a lot doing this stuff with us. I don't know why I couldn't see my mic.
Oh, you can do this from the desktop?
Yeah, why I do that a lot.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you could join other people's lives from your desktop. You just go to what, TikTok.com or something?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I did not know that.
that's where I was looking for that. I mean, on here I see it clearly,
Yeah.
but I just switched over to Wi-Fi, so hopefully we should be good.
Yeah, no, okay. We're good. We hear you loud and clear.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know if you remember where you left off.
I'm not sure where we dropped off. They can kind of tell me in the chat. Did we get to the place where I saw the David for the first time?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got
Okay.
past that. And
And we got past the fact that he just is releasing David.
yes.
That he's just knocking off everything that's not like him.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. And then we talk about what that means for us because our self-image is built. It is given to us, and so it can be rebuilt, but it is built.
Yeah.
Once you understand what is built, then you understand what needs to be taken off so that the true you can emerge. All we're ever doing is just releasing and discovering who you are apart from everything else. And so there's a 9-step process because there is a science behind it. The steps kind of flow together, but it starts at the beginning, which is seeing the real you. So we look at what our picture is and how that picture got there. And our self-image is built by 3 specific areas. If we don't know how it's built, Otis, then we can't rebuild it.
Yeah.
This is how it is built. And every one of us have a self-image. It's whether we know what it is or not, it is intact down to the letter. And it is governing everything we do. We go for the deals we think we can do. We talk to people we think we should be talking to. And if our image is a certain place, it's going to either hinder us or it's going to help us. But right now, your self-image is affecting your income in 5 specific ways. We're not going to get there right now today, Otis. That's enough. We're going to do a workshop on that.
Yeah.
But there is 5 specific ways. It'll be a free workshop that is affecting your income. So we need to deal with the image because again, it is the root of personal development. So that because we have to move past motivation is good to get you going, but you have to move past it because it's temporary.
Yes.
Inspiration is better. That's still borrowed breath though. Inspiration, spirit, that's still breathed into. Better, but still breathed into. When you move from motivation to inspiration, but what I want to move us to is transformation. That can only happen at the self-image level. When the transformation happens at the self-image level, then a lot of the things that we talk about are taken care of because you've taken care of the root. You don't have to try to pick off 100 apples, just cut the tree down. Because if you don't, every year, here's another thing. People will do self-help things, personal development things, and they work just like when you pick fruit off a tree, they work. But what's going to happen next fall? What's going to happen next spring? What's going to happen in 3 months? That tree is going to be full of the same fruit. It's full of the same things, full of the same imposter syndrome, full of the same lack of confidence, full of the same fear of failure, full of the same, I'm not sure if I'm worthy of this. And Otis, these aren't things that people purposely think about themselves. They were put there before we knew that they were there, and then we just embraced them. Your first self-image was given to you, but the next one you get to build.
Mm.
And that's the blessing of it. You get to choose. You do not have to stay. And here's the thing. I've been listening to a lot of, because I'm all into helping people not just heal, but helping people go from where they are to healed, but from good to best. I'm about, because it's one thing to get your self-image to where you're at 0 or where you're at a solid place. That's not what I'm interested in getting us from good to great. And for me to move from wherever we are to the next one, my image has to change because I'm living up and into the picture that I presently have of myself, however it got there. And it got there in 3 ways. Here's how it got there. Number 1, authority. an authoritarian figure, whoever it was in your life that you look up to or had some kind of influence over your life that you received it. Now, remember, if you're 1, 2, 3 years old, you're not deciding whether this is true. This is just who you are. So it could be good, bad, or indifferent, but authority, whoever your authority figures are. And by the way, that still is important today. I'll talk about that in a moment, Otis. A, authority. R, repetition. Repetition is the mother of invention. It's the mother of how things get stuck. What you heard all the time felt familiar. What feels familiar feels true. What feels true becomes part of your image. Doesn't matter whether it is true, Otis. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you heard it all the time. That's the second factor. The third factor is emotional intensity, things that happened at emotional times of your life. You had a failure and somebody said something. They brought you in front of the class and they embarrassed you and said something. I talked to somebody one time that said that when they were in grade school, they were called to the board to do a math problem that they could not complete. So they were incredibly embarrassed in front of everybody, and they decided in their mind that they were horrible at math. Now you gotta realize a lot of this happened subconsciously. They didn't just write this out. It's like, okay, so I'm connecting this with that. They said I'm horrible at math. It was happening to somebody I was talking to. We were meeting. They weren't my client. I was a pastor at that time, but we were meeting and talking about this because it was just really, really concerning me about what he was saying. But then when we got into it, also, what we found out was this: he was awesome at math. Here's the way I turned that around. I think this will help. Here's the way I turned that around for him. I had him just subconscious. I'm not subconscious. I kind of misdirected and had him do some math with me. We were adding this, we were adding that, we were doing this, we were doing that. When we got through, I told him to look back at what he had done. And he had done most of this in his head, which he had told me before he could never do. And I said to him, why can you do it now, but you couldn't do it 10 minutes before? Do you know why you can do it now, but you couldn't? Did you get more brain cells? No, the picture of yourself changed. And when you figured that you can do math, it released that thing in you. That other stuff was just the covering. That was the marble we talked about in David, all the stuff you had told yourself, people laughing at you. But once we got past that and removed that, and that was just one area. I mean, that's just one thing. It becomes that important. It sits in your psyche, and it becomes a part of who you are. 3 areas that build our self-image when we were young: authority, authoritarian figure, repetition, and emotional intensity. Those things. Those are the same 3 things that we rebuild our self-image. See, now we get to choose. And right now, there are 3 things building or rebuilding our self-image right now as we speak. For most people, they just haven't gone back to look at what that image is. And that's why I created a self-image diagnostic I was talking about. It's totally free. If nothing else, get the picture of what you're looking at, and you'll get your scores. You'll see where you are. And all of us are in different areas, but at least this way you know where you are and what areas I should be working on first. Because all of us in here have a David inside of us. There's something beautiful inside trying to come out. There's something to bless the world. There's something to line your pockets. There's something to help the community that you live in. There's something to bring joy to you and those around. Some of it's money. Some of it's just your presence. Some of it is the things that you aren't here to do, that you are here to do. That's in your self-image. But we have to get that freed up. We have to see what's in there, and so many of the things that we work with, seeing the real you, eliminating that inner critic, and we deal with the inner critic, and I think there's a way we can deal with that pretty quickly, Otis. Let me just give it to you now. An inner critic is a voice that's talking to you. It usually is your own, but sometimes it sounds like somebody else. If you're working with me one-on-one, I have you identify that voice. What does it sound like when it says you can't do it? Does it sound like your voice? This sound like another voice. We get to that. Once we get that voice, here's what we do. One of our steps is learning the mastery of self leadership. We're all leading ourselves every day. When we get up, when we do whatever we're doing, we're leading ourselves. We have to become our own coach. So here's how you deal. Here's one of the basic ways to deal with the inner critic. You don't want to stop him from talking. What you want to do is change that critic's voice to a coach voice. Now you're on the road to moving way down the road, because a lot of people deal with inner critics by trying to talk to the inner critic, trying to convince themselves of something. Don't. That's your voice inside. Change that voice to a coaching voice, and then be kind to yourself and coach your way out of this. A critic will say you don't belong here. A coach will say, how can we get here? A critic will say, you don't have the skill. A coach will say, how can I learn this skill? I don't know this skill yet. It's the same voice, but instead of being a critic, you make that voice a coach. And in the book, we talk about steps to do. There's ways to do that, but just a very simple thing. When you hear yourself say something or hear something, and remember, we talk to ourselves all day, every day. We talk to ourselves all day, every day, and we imagine all day, every day. We imagine good stuff. We imagine bad stuff. All I want to do is corral that and point it good. Because if we get that inner coach and give that inner critic language and change him into a coach, which is what we do in our program, change him into a coach. Now you win, and you win again. You win because the critic is gone, but here's where you really win. Now you got a constant coach, a constant someone who's encouraging you, a constant someone that sees the real you, a constant someone that won't let you quit, but is always in your corner, because you're going to turn that voice into a coach voice. Think about anybody in your life that has motivated you. There is a voice in there that's kindness, a voice that believes in you, a voice that you can listen to. It's not an angry voice. It's not a voice that says you cannot. That's the critic voice. Now, I'm going to get too deeply into it right now, Otis, but the critic voice got there on purpose and for a reason. And often that inner critic was there to protect you. And it did for a while. You follow what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you talk about the inner critic. You may not have been ready for those rooms 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because of where you were, where a person is, but it's not true now.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of things were true at the time, and because they were true, we had habits, we had thought processes that developed or jailed around them. They were true. They were true during our crisis. They were true during our poverty. They were true during our divorce. They were true during our pain. All those things were true, but are they true now? And now's where we turn that critic voice into a coach voice. So you don't have to stop him from talking. Just give him the right language, and his language is the beliefs. We deal with that too. The critic is speaking from a script, and the script is our limiting beliefs. That's what feeds that. So we deal with that. But you see how we deal with the whole thing to get us where we need to be. And Otis, all of us have things in there. All of us have things in our self-image that are great and that are not so great.
Yeah.
But we want the ones that keep us from moving forward. Because the things that we don't know, they still are running our lives. Our self-image is in our subconscious. And until you make that subconscious conscious, it will still rule your life. You'll just call it fate,
Right.
or you'll think it's God, or you'll think it's luck. It is not none of those things. It is the subconscious. It is the picture you have of yourself that's driving everything else. A person who is a career criminal and feels like the only way I can be successful is to steal from somebody or to do somebody harm. This is why the recidivism rate is where it is when they get out of prison. Because their mindset hasn't changed.
Yes.
I'm just talking about them. The same thing is for us. If our mindset is a certain way, I can't go beyond that. See, I can't picture myself being a rapist.
Yeah.
So I could never do that. I'd have to picture it first.
Yeah.
At the same way, until I can picture myself being a millionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire, I can't do that until I picture it, because that's not who I am. I'm not able to do something if I don't see myself that way. So I got to get myself that way. And Otis, if I can lean into this and say this Please hear me. I am not just talking about positive affirmations that you place on top of a faulty foundation. Positive affirmations will not work on a self image that does not believe it. You have to get to the root of it. But because that's true, because we're all about rebuilding that self image and making it what it should be, we have stuff to help with all that, Otis. But you mentioned something, and I'm stop talking. You mentioned something which is, I think, so moving and so important: the whole person.
Yeah.
Because for most of us, and until that whole person is dealt with, we're not going to move from where we are. That's why you're on the right call at the right time. You can find things all over TikTok telling you how to get $1 million in a week. If nothing else, just doggone manifest it. Just keep thinking about it. Now, I'm not trying to tear that down, although I'm trying to tear it down. And here's why. Because if that were true, everybody would be someplace in a manifesting hut, manifesting stuff all day. That just makes common sense. Now, the element of manifestation, where it talks about me seeing myself in a new future, absolutely, there's future self imaging. But that does not bring that into reality. You're going to walk into that. It's the self that you're seeing, but that self is doing something. That self is in the process of, because we're here on earth to do something. When we're doing what we're here for, we're happy, we're successful, we're continuing to grow, we're continuing to evolve and become. So for me, it's important that people recognize, listen, we're all born with a self-image, but for a lot of times we've been dealing with everything but the self-image. We've been dealing with just ancillary stuff around it. But now we have science. Now we know. And this, again, I'll put the self-image book in the chat, but this book was not born out of study and theory in my college days. This came out of the last 4 or 5 years of my life, and it was hell to write. Trust me. But the thing is I lived it, then looked back and codified it. Like, oh, that's what got me, because it was rough. That's what. And then the science started to emerge. And then, okay, now I start to see why it worked. And now I start to see some, okay. So now, but like you said, Otis, we sending them through this first, however they go through this, it's the best investment they can make in themselves. It's a $497 investment that you're going to, part of that investment, I believe, is a DISC assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a DISC assessment itself, I'm all for looking nice and everything, but I am going to invest more in myself than I do in what I put on my foot.
Amen.
I'll wear $2,000 shoes, but I'm gonna invest more than that in myself, because it's myself that made me the money to buy those shoes.
Come on now.
And I like them. Don't get me wrong, but it's me that gets me everything. You, that person listening, is the most important commodity you have is you.
Yes.
So any investment you make in your self-image to expand, the scripture says in Isaiah 54, enlarge the place of your tents, because I'm going to bless you. But listen to it. Enlarge first. That's a thought. Stretch out, because something's about to happen. It's getting ready. You have to, the self-image has to go first. We have to change our image. Then we can change our income. And like you said earlier as well, it's not just your money. This goes into how you deal with your spouse. When you see yourself correctly or incorrectly, it affects your marriage. It affects your children. It affects your friendships. It affects your relationship with your own self. And that's important. And if nothing else today, stop beating up on yourself. Stop getting upset for mistakes you made when you only made them in the time. I don't know who I'm saying this for, but it's for somebody. You only made it in the time that you had and the information that you had in front of you at the time. You made that decision. The reason why I come back on that is sometimes people will do that, and then they're afraid to make the next decision.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to make the next decision, because we've all made decisions and we've all made mistakes, but make them forward. If you're going to make a decision, make it investing in yourself. make it investing in the most important part of your business, which is you. That's not selfish. That's just good business. The clearer you see yourself, then not only does your business grow, but hey, your relationship grows. Return on investment. I think, I don't know who said it, but one great philosopher said, it's cheaper to keep her. It'll help your relationship. Save some money that way too.
It sure will, man. Look, I love it. I love it. If you guys are interested, I can send you information on that. Just text the word self-image to that number up there. I had one person call me. Was it last night? I think it was the night before last night. That was actually willing to sponsor somebody. So, you
Oh,
guys,
wow.
yeah, I'm sponsoring, a few people, um, that, and they're going to sponsor somebody. We can't sponsor everybody. So if you're somebody that, really wants to go, and you can afford it, we're going to go on the honor system. Right. But if you can't right now, don't let that stop you. So just text the word self-image to 702-710-8030. If you want to sponsor somebody, feel free to sponsor somebody. Now, before we go, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if any of these limiting beliefs ever impacted you at all. Any of these limiting beliefs. I'm going to read them off. And if you've been impacted by these, I know I can pick about 3 or 4 that I've been impacted by. All right. Now, number 1, fear of failure. Then y'all started putting a 1 in the chat before I even read the first one. Fear of failure. 2, perfectionism. 3, imposter syndrome. Fear of judgment. Overwhelmed. A scarcity mindset. A lack of self-belief. Attachment to security. The attachment to a 9-to-5 job. Analysis paralysis. Waiting for permission. A fear of success. Yeah, that's a thing. Past failure or trauma. Lack of a support system. The comparison trap. Welcome to the world of social media. Hey, everybody's doing better than me. A stuck identity, right? You still thinking like an employee instead of entrepreneur in the world of entrepreneurship. Information overload. Guilt. Waiting for the perfect time or enough. Misunderstanding the process. Emotional exhaustion. Oh, you really better learn how to deal with emotional exhaustion. And you're going to lead a company. You want to, all of those things in some way, shape, or form at some point in my life, there was something I dealt with in some way, shape, or form. Right. And it starts becoming an issue when you realize that it's impacting your programming, because all you have at times is your programming to move forward and do a thing. Right. If you guys are interested in contacting Dr. Alfred, go ahead and text that number. The website, what's the website for the diagnostic, Dr. A?
I just put in the chat, selfimagedoctor.com.
Okay.
And it's /diagnostic, or as soon as you open up selfimagedoctor.com, it's right there in your face.
Amen. And if there's anything that we mentioned today that you want more information on, just send a text. If you want information about our entrepreneurship retreat in Medellin, Colombia, Dr. A will be there. Start your day with Dr. A every day. Some of you guys in the chat have been there. If you want information about real estate investing mentorship, reach out. I'll get that to you. If you want to register for our real estate investing workshop this Saturday, I will get you that information. That being said, is there anybody on stage that has any other questions or anything to add to the conversation? Just go ahead and come off your mic. Is there anybody in the chat that would like to come up on stage for any reason, ask a question or to comment? Just go ahead and request, and we can rotate some people out to get you up here before we shut it down.
No, but thank you for everything.
Amen. Yeah, Coach D, I got something for you, so make sure you reach out to me.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't want to unmute until everybody had a chance since you talked to me earlier.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to, we were talking about alignment and purpose here. Well, It's not an accident that I just popped on today on TikTok and came into your live. Dr. A explained. I was sitting here like shooting myself in the foot, like what he does is what I do. And I was not able to translate that at all. You know, I talk about root cause and in the science and the brain science, and what I was trying to avoid was getting too, you know, wordy and into, you know, in a presentation, you know, like how much do you give in that instance where you have depth and you have, you know, nervous system. I have a total framework, everything he has. I have a CUP assessment, I have assessments, I have mapping and how to the nervous system and root cause. And then my ultimate root cause thing is that gut health, like how all of those patterns start in your gut, how the gut never forgets what the brain forgets, the gut remembers. So those kind of connections that I've made and the type of depth work that I have, and I want to thank him and you, just for him, you know, the way that I was listening and taking notes of how he was explaining himself and what he does, and it was captivating. But and that's what I teach. That's the essence of my work is nervous system work and generational patterns and all the things. So, but how do you simplify a
Yeah.
message and and relay it in such a way where you know, when you're trying to, you know, translate that into conversion?
Amen. Well, if you come to Columbia, we'll teach you how to turn that into a business. And
Love it.
we can also provide all the systems and automations to help you run that business so you can focus on high value tasks, letting people know about who you are and what you do. So reach out if anybody has any questions about those things. Anybody else on stage have anything they want to add, or does anybody else want to come up? I'll do a final check to make sure we're not missing anybody. Okay. All right. All right, folks, look, time is the most valuable thing you have. I hope we were able to honor it by giving you something of value, whether that was business, personal development, whatever it is. I will be on again tomorrow morning, and I will send out, I'll probably post on my page when I'm on. So feel free to join and add to the conversation. And we're going to be talking about real estate investing and entrepreneurship and personal development. Just make sure you hold yourself accountable. You have to do something, it's not going to come to you. And not making a decision is also a decision. So keep
Yeah.
that in mind. No one can want it for you more than you want it for yourself. Alfred, you got anything you want to say before we close out?
Oh no, I'm good. Oh, I appreciate the fact that we're able to deal with the things that affect the root causes that affect so much of our life,
Yeah.
and that affect so much of everything else we do. And that's why I teach this and this so much, because people are so hard on themselves. They feel like they're broken or they're messed up, and oftentimes it's just getting to the root of something, or understanding that that who you are was formed and can be reformed, and the areas that help make it reform, the three specific things. I'm glad that we're getting stuff out there so people can have a better relationship with themselves, Otis, as well as everyone else. And out of that comes all the dollars we need, the money we need. Um, and to me, that's extremely important. This whole thing about money not being important, of course it is. It's important when you don't have it.
Yeah.
But how do I get money? And at the same, I want to be super successful because I want to be able to bless others. Giving, or when you mentioned that you're going to be giving, or some people are going to be sponsoring. That's one of the things that I teach about how to raise your relationship with yourself is giving. It literally releases dopamine, oxytocin. I forget the other thing releases. All that happens in both the giver and the person giving. When you continue to do that, that builds who you are, and that makes you more successful in whatever you're doing. So I'm blessed and honored to be just in this kind of environment that sees all of that as well. And for all those that are listening, I just so want the best for them. It just they have no idea how much I think and pray and write and everything, just because I want people to become all of who they are before they leave here.
Yes.
No book that hasn't been written, no poem that hasn't been written, no whatever needs to be done. Let's get that image right. So when you lay down for the last time, everything has gotten out of you. And you're laying in that bed in that mansion because you earned all of that. And you can just breathe easy.
Amen.
But that comes with your whole self.
Yeah.
All right, family.
All right, everybody. I will catch you all on the next one. Do something today. There's some of y'all
like
at
that.
work. Well, I notice a lot of y'all ain't at work. So do something. Be productive. I'll catch you all on the next one. I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm texting that number, right?
Yep. Everybody text that number. Well, not
Gotcha.
everybody. Don't just text it for no reason. Some of y'all be texting just to be like, hey, what's up? I was like, this goes to our CRM.
Did they game last night, though?
Yeah, you baby boomers, the women be sending me pictures of food like, just thought you might want to see what this fried chicken and chitlins look like. That's how that's how y'all be getting the mail, boy. Like, I'm big.
Out of all the food, you went to the blackest foods of ever.
That's what that like. They don't send nudes. They send pictures.
I don't eat chitlins no more.
Dr. A, I'm going to reach out to you as well.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Of course. Who's this, Coach D?
Yes.
Absolutely. I love talking to coaches.
Amen. Amen. All right, everybody. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. You there, Ro.